equals 0, and g of 0 equals 3. These are both roots. So let's see what we can do. Well, we know that they're asking us for an equation in factored form. So to me that says y equals a times x minus r1 times x minus r2 times x minus r3. And the reason I'm stopping at 3 is because there are only 3 roots here. There are only 3 roots. There's a root at 3, a root at 5, and a root at -1. The reason I know these are roots is because we're saying we're plugging in 5 for x. That's what this means, plugging in 5 for x and getting 0 for y. So let's see what we can do. Well, let's start filling in what we know. We know that y must equal some a value. I have no idea what a is, but I can start plugging this in. X minus r1 is 3 squared times x minus 5 times x minus -1. That's what I've got so far. And then we're going to say, well, let's simplify this a little bit. To this. Minus -1 becomes +1. And the last thing is we need to find a. Well, I know that when we know that g of 0 is 3. So in other words, when x is 0, y must be 3. So let's solve that out. So 3 equals a times 0 minus 3 squared times 0 minus 5 times 0 plus 1. So now we're just going to solve for a. So we've got 3 equals a -3 squared times -5 times 1. -3 squared is this positive 9. So 3 equals a times 9 times -5 times 1. 9 times -5 is -45. -45 times 1 is still -45. So we've got 3 equals -45a. Solving for a, divide both sides by -45. And I get that a, coming up here, equals -1 over 15. So now I just need to write my equation. So here's my equation. Y equals -1 over 15 times x minus 3 squared times x minus 5 times x plus 1. And there we have it. Let me stop here and take questions. Yeah, just go. Say that one more time for me. How did I get what? 3 for y. Somebody answer that question. How did I know to plug in 3 here for y? How did I know to plug in 3 for y? Daniel? Right here. So it's saying when x is 0, y is 3. Matthew?
So one thing I was a little confused about was I thought you only plugged into roots. So why did you plug in g 0 equals 3?
Because I wanted to find a.
Okay.
You can find any. You can plug any point on the graph to get a.
Oh, but like you know how there's 3 different like little parentheses?
Right.
I was confused on like why you added the third one because.
So here's one root.
Yeah.
Here's a second root. Here's a third root.
Yeah.
So that's why there's 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Does that work? No.
Not really.
I mean, there are 3 roots, right? 3, 5, and -1. So 3, 5, -1. All right, let's keep going forward. So the next one we want to do is number 5. Does anybody still need what's on the board? Okay. So number 5 says give a possible equation for this function shown below. You notice when I attacked the previous problem, I did a lot of annotating before I even started the problem. I do the same thing here. Some people might be able to annotate on their own, which is great. Go for it. If you need to watch me, that's fine also. But some people might be ready to go on their own. So I'm going to start by noticing the following. And again, I'll try to reduce the speaking so that those who are working can produce on their own. So I'm just going to make some observations. That's my first observation. Some people might agree with my observation about the degree. I'm next going to make an observation about the leading coefficient. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and write that. I'm going to make some more observations. Yeah, Caleb? How did I know the leading coefficient of this was negative, Javier? This side is going down, therefore this must be negative. Does that work, Taylor? Nothing about odd or even. Odd or even has nothing to do with the leading coefficient. The leading coefficient just says, don't even worry about odd or even. Just look at the right side. If it's going downstairs, the leading coefficient is negative. If it's going upstairs, the leading coefficient is positive. That's it. Then I'm going to make some observations about the roots. Again, some people can do this on their own. That's great. Go for it. Do not wait for me. Brendo, you have a question? One more time for me. So the maximum is 1, 4. I'm going to make that observation as well. Before I start my writing the equation, are there questions on this? Some people can probably write the equation on their own. Go for it. Juan? Yeah, for sure. I don't know how to draw the squiggly lines, that's why I don't do it. Yeah. I'm going to start my equation now, so I'm going to write my y. Okay, here's where I am so far. I'm now just going to plug in what I know. Again, some people might be doing this on their own. Great. Just check up here once in a while to make sure things are going well. One sec.
It doesn't matter what order we put the roots.
Does not matter what order you put the roots in. As we know, multiplication is commutative. That is to say, 3 times 2 is the exact same as 2 times 3. Doesn't matter the order. Going to do a little simplification now. So here's what we got going on so far. And now I'm just going to find my A value just like I did last time. Some people are already good. Keep going. Questions? Stop me as I go through this process. Here we are. I'm going to just keep plowing through. So I got my A value here. Juan, go ahead.
For the x and the y, so you're using your max to plug them in?
I'm just going to plug it. Yeah, so I could have picked any point. Like this one was like really obvious. It was 1, 4. Easy to pick that. And now I'm just going to write my equation. Remember, don't just leave it here. Go ahead and write the equation. And there you have it. And there you have it. Michelle? No, you could have just written the equation. I just did this because that was like a next step for me, and then I plugged it in. The equation is key. That's all we need. Daniel.
What if you don't have the one, like you can't find the point? But
We would always give you at least 1 point.
what if there wasn't, like, could we just use the root or?
No. Then you can't do it. Then you don't know what A is. You can just like leave like A as a blank number, or just like A there. Then. Does that make sense? If we didn't give you another point, yeah, you can't do it. Brando?
What if our answer isn't factored all the way like that?
How is it? What would I mean? I don't understand. What would the other
If
option?
I use a different formula?
Oh, you should always do that. Start with the factor form. It's the easiest one, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say do that. I guess here we did not say to write it in a factored form. So if you had multiplied it out, that would have been fine. It would have just been like, I gotta go multiply it out now to see if Fernando's right. But I would have done that for you. But yeah, I think it's easier to write it like this though. Unless they have specifically said in standard form, then this would have been wrong. Then we got to multiply it all out with the box. All right, Sergio, can we stop and restart in 1 sec? Let me go. So I'm going to go to question 9 now on the back side.